Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your patience as we work through our technical challenges. I'm pleased to be able to present the East Bay Fund for Artists presentation. My name is Nicole Kayak. I'm a Senior Program Officer here at the East Bay Community Foundation. I'm joined by my colleague, Janelle.
Hi, everyone.
Great. Well, welcome. We're pleased to be able to have you all join us this afternoon. I'm going to have the opportunity to present the eligibility, the review process, the timeline, the match process, and go over Q&A. For eligibility, you must be an organization that's located in the East Bay commissioning a Bay Area artist or an artist living in the East Bay. For artists who are living in the East Bay, you must have a fiscal sponsor. However, your fiscal sponsor does not have to be in the Bay Area, and we will provide information on fiscal sponsor resources. We welcome all disciplines, whether it's theater, film, dance, music, mural, or visual arts. If you're an organization, we hope that you have a budget under $2 million, and if it's a film project, under $50,000 budget. The eligibility will be confirmed on a cover sheet, which is generated for the panel through an online system. We have had a question about whether or not we accept international artists. This is really a local fund supported by local donors, and so we do not allow for international artists. It must be an East Bay organization commissioning a Bay Area artist or artist living in the East Bay. Our full guidelines and application are available online. The links are enclosed below. We will send you a copy of these slides after the presentation. Here's a screenshot of our website. As you'll see, it has information on our goals, eligibility requirements with links to the full information for organizations and artists, RSVP to apply to webinars if you have colleagues and friends who'd like to join a future webinar, frequently asked questions, and at the bottom of the page, examples of how to make your match, which we'll talk a little bit about more later. One frequent question that we get is whether or not you should apply as an organization or an artist. The narrative is the best way to communicate to the panel what you plan to commission, and specifically talk about whether or not you are commissioning the work. So the questions that we ask are, who's truly leading the work, who's commissioning the project, and whose donor base is being expanded. At the end of the presentation, we'll have our ebfa@eastbaycf.org email address where you can ask us specific questions, and we welcome conversations individually after the presentation. On this next slide, we have the list of application checklist items. It includes a cover sheet, a 2-page narrative, the budget, a timeline, resume, artist statement, work sample, and if you are applying as an artist, presenting venue letter of commitment, fiscal sponsor letter of commitment, and fiscal sponsor organization budget. As you'll see here, the narrative and materials are pretty similar. We are asked if the page limit is inclusive of all the attachments. It is not. The narrative is 2-page limit, which does not include the budget, timeline, and resume. We do ask that you submit everything as a PDF. We have also been asked about the budget, and we do have a sample budget online on the website. If you need additional information, we have additional samples available for you. In the spirit of full transparency, we'd like to share what the panel will be looking for. The panel is looking to support the creation of new work and support of individual artists. They're looking to understanding your narrative, the connection to your artistic practice, and the East Bay Fund for Artists funds that are requested must be allocated to the lead artist, which is up to $8,000. We've been asked whether or not artist fees can exceed $8,000. They absolutely can, but the fees that must come from the East Bay Community Foundation must be allocated to the lead artist, and the panel will be looking to see that the budget that you outline matches the amount that you're giving to the lead artist. The amount that you match that are raised from outside sources through individual donors may be used for any other piece of the work that you're looking to create. The panel will also be looking to see the expansion and connection to your individual donor base. They'll specifically be looking to see how you plan to make them match, And they'll also be looking to understand your engagement that you have with your community and audience. In the artist statement, they'll be looking to see how your proposed work will fit within your artistic practice, specifically what inspired you to create this work, which audiences you plan to engage. We also want to share how the panel will score applications. They're looking for a clear articulation of the project and how it aligns with the artist's artistic practice and creative development. They're looking to see a demonstrated ability to complete projects, your specific plan to engage the audience, your plans to make them match, that the budget is feasible, and for organizations, they're looking specifically for your rationale for selecting the artist and ability to manage the project. We've been asked what we are looking for in a work sample. We asked for 1 or 2 work samples per lead artist, and it can be submitted in video through MP4 or MOV. We ask that it's no more than 3 minutes long, and it can be emailed to us. It can be sent via Dropbox, you send it Hightail, or if it's a CD, you may mail it to us if postmarked by the deadline with the information and address on the slide below. We've been asked what makes a good work sample. We're looking to see a project that relates to the commission work, that provides context to the panel, and may represent your past work, and we've also been asked whether or not it should include a symphony or other supporting artists. We only require samples from the lead artist. However, if you have supporting artists or supporting team, you may include that as well. I'd like to go over the timeline with you. As you'll see on our website, the deadline is February 1st. The panel will meet and review all applications, and we expect that we'll let everyone know by early April. The time period to raise your match after the notification is 90 days for organizations, which we expect is April to June, and 120 days for artists, April through July. We recognize that artists don't have a development team, so we provide additional time to be able to raise your one-to-one match. For organizations, we ask that you submit your spreadsheet of donors to us by July 20th, and for artists by August 19th. When you submit your spreadsheet to us, we'll process the grant to the nonprofit organization or the fiscal sponsor within about 1 month after you submit your spreadsheet and survey. We ask that the East Bay premiere occur within 1 year of making the match. We've been asked whether or not in-kind gifts are eligible. Unfortunately, they're not. The gifts that are included in the match are individual gifts, family-run local small businesses after the notification. Again, what's not eligible, in-kind gifts, foundation, government, and corporate. The intent of this fund really is to be able to support individual donor contributions so you could steward and follow up after the commission fund. One of the questions that we've gotten from past artists who are looking to apply are, how do you make them match? So during the survey process, we've asked past grantees for tips on how they've made their match. A few are listed below here. Start with people you know, connect on a personal level, tell a story people can relate to, use a crowdfunding site like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or Hatch Fund, leverage social media, host an event like a house party, and the number 1 tip that we've gotten is to be able to leverage this award and this opportunity. We've heard that it provides visibility and a set time frame to activate audiences and get them excited about a match opportunity. We've had a unique opportunity in the past to conduct a research study that highlights why people give, and it's aptly named, It's Not About You, It's About Them. It includes past grantee strategies that you can adapt for your own fundraising plan. We encourage you to reach out to new donors and encourage existing donors to give beyond their historical gifts amounts. We know that for some organizations, it could be very easy to raise a $1,000 gift, but that really isn't the intent of the fund. We'd prefer to see greater numbers of donors at small levels rather than a single donor supporting the match. One question that we've gotten frequently is, what happens if we don't make the match? I've been here since 2008, and this project has been going on since 2004, and out of the over 180 projects, we've only had one that didn't make their match. So we are pretty collaborative and will work with you to make sure that you can make your match that will allow you to support the project that you're looking to create. Again, in your narrative, the panel will be looking for your ability to raise the match and strategies that you plan to employ to make your match. What happens after you make the match? We ask, again, that you submit a list of the donors to Ebcf. We'll provide you with an Excel template. We'll ask you to include their contact information because we'll thank them too. However, the fiscal sponsor is responsible for sending their letter for tax deduction. They will manage the 501c3. The letters that we send from the foundation will be individualized thank yous, and we will not contact your donors without your permission other than the acknowledgement. We'll also ask you to send in a response to a brief online survey that we use to modify future panels and applications. We'll also ask you to confirm the date of the East Bay premiere. Again, that's required within a year of making the match. It may be a work in progress, but it does need to be located in the East Bay. And we encourage you to invite us and keep us updated. This fund wouldn't be possible without the generous support of individual donors at the East Bay Community Foundation and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, and we share the opportunity to attend premieres with our staff, board, and our generous supporters. We've also had questions about premiere venues. You can email us and we can send you ideas based on what you're looking for as far as audience size and location. We also have amassed a large support base through our individual artists who have been supported through this match and act as a resource for you as well. We oftentimes get a question about fiscal sponsorship. A fiscal sponsor is required for all artists and organizations who don't have their own 501c3. Again, it doesn't have to be located in the East Bay. And enclosed below are some fiscal sponsor organizations for those of you that may not have one already. One that's not on here that we'll add to this list is Independent Arts and Media, and I've been told that they are still accepting fiscal sponsor applications. Your fiscal sponsor will accept all contributions, manage all of the acknowledgement letters for the tax donation purposes, do all of the tracking and financial reporting. We also know that there are a number of amazing local nonprofits that provide sponsorship to a smaller number of projects. And if you've worked closely with a nonprofit organization in the past, they may be willing to provide fiscal sponsorship to your project. Again, if you email us, we can provide you a full list. We wanted to provide a general overview of this presentation and the application guidelines for the East Bay Fund for Artists. We welcome and invite specific questions to us directly at ebfa@eastbaycf.org, or you can call us as well. If you have general questions, we welcome those in the chat box. Feel free to send us a message. And Janelle has a few questions as well.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Great presentation. Again, please feel free to list your questions in the chat box, and we'll go through them one by one. For starters, Sarah asked a great question. Does the commissioned artist need to be from outside the organization?
So we've been asked by organizations if they can include their composer as the commissioned artist. If the artist that's being commissioned by an organization is an employee of the organization, it must be for work that they wouldn't otherwise get paid for by the organization. So it must be outside their normal scope of work.
Great. Sarah also asked, for commissioned works that have multiple lead artists collaborating, do all of them need to be from the designated counties?
So for any artist that's being commissioned by an organization, they must be from the Bay Area, so Alameda, Contra Costa County, and the other Bay Area counties.
We have another question. Are in-kind gifts eligible?
So in-kind gifts are not eligible, unfortunately, only individual gifts as well as small businesses.
Cool. Cynthia asked, Can you explain again what is the up to 8,000K allocated for lead artist means?
Sure, good question. Thanks, Cynthia. So the $8,000 is the maximum that you can ask for total. So it could be for one lead artist, two lead artists. We ask that you explain in your narrative what the artists are doing as far as commissioning for new work. The up to $8,000 is the maximum you can ask for from this fund. Again, the project might actually be that the two lead artists would be $20,000, but the fund from us would be up to $8,000.
Great. Duke asked a great question. He said, if I have a project with two artists but don't have the supporting artist confirmed by February 1st, would it be smart to apply anyway and only list the lead artist, or would that make a weaker application?
Good question. Appreciate that. I would say that you should apply for what you know and be able to share as much as you have available. If there are some specific questions, feel free to follow up with me.
Jonathan asked regarding the EBFA funds going to the artist, does this include costs directly related to the work?
So EBFA funds must go to the lead artist directly. It has to go to the artist. So for other indirect costs like the rehearsal space, secondary artists, that can be covered through the other funds that you raise through individual donors.
And we have another question. To fulfill the requirement of an East Bay presentation of a new play, do I need to fulfill the production, or could it be a reading or publication of the script?
So the East Bay presentation, the premiere that we require, can be a work in progress. It doesn't have to be a full production. It could be a reading. It could be a publication of the script that are presented in the East Bay.
Jonathan asked, are there examples of previously funded work on the website?
So the nice thing about the research report that we supported includes examples of past work examples. And we'll send you a copy of these slides so that you can see all of them. They really do vary from theater presentations to song cycles to full orchestras, wooden benches, a puppet show, theater collaboration. But we'd be happy to send you the full list of past work if that would be helpful.
Another question from Dara. Is our organization eligible if we serve a population outside of the East Bay?
Good question. Thanks, Dara, for your question. Your organization is eligible if you can still have an East Bay premiere. So as long as the premiere occurs in the East Bay, then you would be eligible. The other piece we want to make sure is that if you are an artist, that you are an East Bay resident, and if you're an organization, that you are located in the East Bay. We're happy to answer other questions that you might have.
We have another question. If the organization is also the performing ensemble that will be premiering the commission work, can they be considered the artist in terms of distributing artist fees?
That's a great question. That was from Sarah. We will not consider the ensemble as part of the lead artist. This really is about supporting the individual who is creating the new work. So unfortunately, ensembles, dance troupes, the full symphony are not included as the lead artist in this case.
Another one again from Sarah. Sarah's got a lot of great questions. Does the commission artist need to be from outside the organization?
I think that we might have addressed that one. So the artist doesn't have to be from outside the organization. It just has to be outside the scope of work that they do on the day-to-day basis.
Another question from Cynthia. Once the winners are announced, can the funds be spent immediately, or do we need to wait for the match to happen?
Oh, great question, Cynthia. So if you are raising funds from individual donors, you can absolutely spend those right away. We unfortunately don't release the funds until that full match is made, and so we verify that through the spreadsheet. So the funds that come from the East Bay Community Foundation won't be received until after the match is completed and processed here on our end. But any funds that you raise and are going through your fiscal sponsor, you absolutely can use and spend towards your project. So I want to just really emphasize and reiterate that funds that you're raising from individual donors, please be sure that you are keeping track of their contact information. The point really is to be able to steward those individual donors. We've had individuals who did a pass the hat event and didn't get contact information, and we can't include that as part of the match. So please, please, please make sure that you're getting contact information so you and we can acknowledge their gift, that it can be counted towards the match, and that the gifts go through your fiscal sponsor or your campaign to be counted for the 501c3 deduction. Great. Are there other questions that folks have? Feel free to send a message in the chat.
What happens if you're on the phone? Can we call you later, I guess?
Absolutely, yes. So the email address is listed on our website, ebfa@eastbaycf.org. Definitely feel free to give us a call. I will send out our phone number, but I'll give it to you now. It's 510-208-0840. This was really an overview and sampling of what we're looking for. Absolutely encourage you to call us with specific individualized questions. We're happy to walk through and answer questions that anyone might have. Thank you for asking. We also encourage folks that are on the phone and joining us on the webinar to please share this opportunity with friends and colleagues. We'd love to see more applications in Southern Alameda County and Contra Costa County, particularly those that maybe aren't connected to traditional forms of support of artists and philanthropy. Welcome. Again, any other questions? Great.
Oh, sorry, you did mention that you guys were going to send a follow-up email, so it would be easy to share that with other people.
Yes, absolutely. We'd be happy to share the invitation as well as the materials. Great. Well, thank you all for joining us. We're happy to answer any questions you have. Want to thank my colleague Janelle for joining us, and she'll be the one to be in touch with around any questions through the match process. I'm here and available to you to answer any questions that you might have between now and the deadline and after. We are happy to support you through this process, and thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.